guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range to play around with a new Sig M400 Tread. This is Sig's entry into the sub $1,000 AR-15 market. I'd first seen one of these rifles down at Top Guns in Terre Haute, Indiana, and had an interest in it, but I honestly don't want to spend $1,000, 900 bucks or so on a Sig. It's just, I've had very, very bad luck with Sig long arms. So Big Daddy Guns contacted me. They've contacted quite a few YouTubers, I think. And they said, hey, look, man, we will send you any gun you want. We don't care what you say about it. We'll send you any gun you want to make a video, and just mention Big Daddy Guns Unlimited in the video. We'll call it even. So I decided to take them up on the offer because I really wanted to try out a new Sig. I just didn't want to spend $900 I don't have on a gun I really don't want. But I'm still interested in it because the market would be interested in a Sig product, a Sig rifle, that's less than $1,000, because that $1,000 threshold seems to be that magical number, and Sig's in demand, and so it seems to me to be one of those things that consumers are going to want. So I want to check it out. On top of it, we have an aim point, and this is a patrol optic, and this is from Copper Custom. So they donated this for the rifle for us to use in this video. And the M400 Tread has some interesting features. We have been out here shooting it this morning already. We have 450 rounds through it. We were doing a go, no-go, well, actually just a no-go test on it, cold and hot. We fired 450 rounds and the gun still passed a no-go test. And that's a separate video we may or may not post. But the rifle has some different features about it than your standard AR-15 budget rifle. Now, some would argue that at $900 or so MSRP, it's not really a budget gun, but I think it is, and it's going to come to market less than that. So let's take a look at some of the features of the rifle. Over here, we have a magazine release that's ambi, nice touch. Don't see that very often on budget guns. We have a stop bolt release that has this extra little lever down here that gives you a little bit more area to get a finger onto to lock the bolt open. Definitely like that. We have ambi fire controls. So we have a selector on either side of the rifle. This one's a little bit truncated, I think, so it doesn't interfere with that right-handed trigger finger. If you're a lefty, you're just going to have to live with the fact that this one's slightly longer and may poke into your firing finger. But you may be able to grind that off or whatever. I'm not a lefty, so I don't have to deal with lefty problems. Over here, you'll notice there are no ambi controls for the bolt release. We just have an ambi magazine release, but still, I like that, all right? Have pretty much everything else is pretty much standard conventional M16A2. We have the brass case deflectors. You can see we've already put half case ammo through it. We have the forward assist. Now, one thing I noticed on the Sig website when I was looking at the rifle, they advertise it with an ambi charging handle, and I guess it is ambi as long as you have two fingers on both hands, because the release is only on one side. It's a standard T handle. There's nothing ambi about it. Typically, when you say ambi charging handle, you have a release lever over here that unlocks it. So I don't know why they call that ambi charging handle, or if that's another cost savings they came about after they put up their website. I don't know. And then we just have a standard adjustable stock. Now, here's where things get a little bit different. So we have a 5.56 chambered barrel, 16 inches, stainless steel, and it's free floated, and it has this handguard on it, and it's a metal handguard. You'll notice it has M-lock that starts just a little under halfway out here. The M-lock cuts start about halfway on the barrel, all right, not quite halfway. Have nothing back here for M-lock. These are just cooling vents, M-lock on the top, and then M-lock most of the way down, but not quite all the way down. The only problem we've run into with this rifle, because we've already put a half a case through it, is that this very small handguard gets really hot really fast. That, and you don't have M-lock that comes all the way back, so if you have other accessories you want to put back here, if you don't want to Chris Costa the thing all the time, you know, hand stops, things like that, you're kind of forced into putting them at least here. You can't put them any further back. Vertical grips, things like that. So you may not like this handguard. I personally don't like the fact that it has no cooling holes back here, and this is where the heat generates, and this thing gets uncomfortably hot very quickly. It is a direct gas impingement rifle. All right, so, and then we have On the end, a standard 1/2x28 thread muzzle device. It's the same muzzle device you'll find on the Virtus. And it has the tapered barrel for the Sig proprietary suppressors, okay? The gas block is right here. It looks like it's adjustable, but I can't find anything in the owner's manual talking about how to adjust it, and I can't find a way to adjust it, so I don't think it's adjustable. All right, let's go ahead and shoot the gun. Now, we fired 450 rounds already, 0 problems. We're using Fiocchi 55 grain ball. We have more of that ammunition here. We're now using some Sure Feed magazines. They're made by OK. And these are magazines I had when I was in the military. These things have been around forever. This is their newest generation called the Sure Feed. Has a stippling on the side. They sent me these magazines to try out, so we're going to be using these going forward for a little while instead of my favorite Lancers. But we've had no problems with them today, which is our first day to the range with them, doing some testing earlier with that headspace test. All right, so let's do a little bit of shooting. This gun is still very hot and not perfectly zeroed because we haven't put it on paper yet. Pretty close to being zeroed because I was hitting that little wooden stump down there and knocking wood shavings off. We don't have too far to go. That's a good sign. But anyway, like I said, the gun's been 100% reliable. I just hate this handguard. I think it's really bad. It's awful. But other than that, the gun seems to be pretty good. You also, one thing I didn't point out is that you have QD mounts back here in the receiver. They're machined into the receiver, and they're present on both sides of the rifle. All right, so you have QD mounts there. Nothing in the front, so you're going to have to put something up here in one of your M-lock slots if you want to use QD up front. But you do have them machined into the receiver in the back. Have some texturing in the front of the magazine well here too. All right. Do some more shooting with the Sig M400 Tread rifle. When you get your new M400 Tread rifle, it's going to come in this cardboard box. Inside, you're going to find your rifle along with an owner's manual, a little bit of swag, a safety, a lock, I should say, it's not a safety, and a 30-round PMag, and a little flag safety. It's just cardboard and styrofoam. Nothing special, but then again, guys, I've never understood why folks want something more than a cardboard box when they order a rifle. I always put my rifles in cases. I try to get a nice case for my rifles because I don't want my rifles damaged, and I can't think of one time in history where I bought a rifle and it came in a box that I wanted to keep. So I don't care that it comes in a cardboard box. I would rather Sig spend the money on accessories, or any gun company, on accessories and improving the rifle, and save the money and just send it to me in a box. I'll put it in the case that I want. So anyway, that's what you get with the rifle. It'll look just like this, just won't come with a red dot sight. Part of the fun of getting a new rifle is sighting that rifle in. We have some folks that bring rifles into the shop to have us zero them, and I've never understood that because part of the fun of shooting is getting a new rifle, sighting it into the ammunition you use, and just spending time on the range. And so while some people find this to be tedious, I actually enjoy it. All right, we have some 55 grain Wolf Gold. This is kind of my go-to ammo. I use it all the time. It's really good stuff, high quality Taiwanese stuff. And we have our Sure Feed OK magazine here. We have a target downrange just a little under 50 yards. And we're just going to see if we can get this thing kind of zeroed out so it's useful going forward. Now, when I adjust the brightness on my red dot sight, I don't want it blooming. I always adjust it to ambient light. I get it where I can just barely see it. It's a nice, sharp, crisp dot. If it blooms, it makes it a little harder to get precision. All right, let's see where we're at. All right, high and left. And this is where the magic happens, because I don't know how many inches that is down there. I just kind of guess, and I usually get pretty lucky. Yes, I'm shooting with no protective eyewear on, and granted it's a Sig, but I'll take my chances. At this range, I'm going to want the rounds to impact just a little bit low. Okay, guys, that literally put me on paper. Can you see that, Jason? Like I said, I've always been really lucky at doing that and just guessing how many clicks. I don't even know what the click adjustments are on the optic, but I can usually always brag within 2 to 3 groups I can have a rifle zeroed out. So now I just got to come down a little bit further, because again, I want it to be just under that point of impact at this distance, because that bolt's still going up to cross the line of sight. So let's come down just a wee bit more. Probably want to come down a little bit more than that still. We still want to come right just a wee bit. All right, this should be pretty close, close enough. Oh, just a little bit too far right. The elevation's looking pretty good. I'm gonna come back and come down just a little bit more. Yeah, looks like we're doing pretty good. Here's the magazines we have left over to shoot this afternoon. By the time we're done, we will have put a full case of ammunition through the rifle. Now, I will say that in the past, I've had hit or miss quality issues with Sig products. I've had quite a few rifles that didn't work. The 551A1 is just marginal, shoots 4-inch groups at 100 yards. My 5.56 rifles didn't work hardly at all. Had a DMR that was horribly inaccurate, had others, the XIs, that simply didn't work. I've just not had very good history with the Sig series of rifles. So it seems like buying a Sig is a little bit like buying a box of chocolates, in the great words of Forrest Gump. You either get one that works or you get one that doesn't. Take my Sig Rattler, for example. My buddy, who is one of the master dealers for Sig, one of the largest in the state, had 2 Rattlers that both keyholed, so he was really blown away when I got a Rattler, and mine shoots beautifully. I mean, it's insanely accurate, 100% reliable, never cleared a malfunction. I shoot it all the time. You guys see me posting about it on Instagram all the time. It's a solid gun, but he got 2 that weren't. So it just seems to me that the biggest problem with Sig is you just never know what you're going to get. So this one seems to be working great. We're already a half a case in, no malfunctions. By the time we finish out this box of magazines, we'll have a full case through the gun this afternoon. If you can get a gun to 1,000 rounds, typically speaking, it's going to be okay. Even my P365 failed well before 1,000 rounds, not well before, it almost got to 1,000 rounds. My R51s and RP9s and RP45s all had problems well inside of 1,000 rounds. So if you can get a gun to 1,000 rounds, you're pretty much safe in assuming the gun's probably going to work just fine for you. All right, let's finish out these magazines and then give you some final thoughts. For whatever reason, Jason just absolutely loves watching me bump fire, so we're going to do a little bit of more bump fire action here at the M400. Take the safety off. Oh, not done. There we go. We're burning our way through these magazines. We will have 1,030 rounds through this gun today before we leave the range. Ugh. Man, that thing is hot. Woo! This thing's doing pretty good, man. I'm hitting a little metal post down there. Yep, she's doing pretty darn good, guys. I'd say the reliability is certainly there. Certainly there. So that handguard's a little bit warm, but at this point, honestly, any metal handguard would be hot. This one just heats up a little faster than others in my experience. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time showing you the disassembly of a standard direct gas impingement AR-15. You've seen it a million times before. But I do want to point out one of the other things I don't like about the rifle, and that's the fact that the rear takedown pin requires a hammer and a punch to get it out. Now, guys, I understand the desire not to want you to have your rifle wobbling around. It doesn't really affect accuracy. The accuracy is in the upper, not the lower, or the mating of the upper and the lower. But I understand that you don't want to pick up a rattle trap. It's one of the things I didn't like about my Sig 551A1 rifle. It was a complete rattle trap, so I get that. And I think Sig kind of went overboard here. And so let's pop it open, see what it looks like on the inside. I'm guessing they have a tensioning device in there that I wish it didn't have. But if you try to pop this pin out with standard force, even pushing down, trying to compress any type of tensioning device in there may be, you're not going to get that pin out. Now, maybe mine's just extra special tight. I don't know. All right, there we go. Pin out. And here we go. We have an Accu wedge in there. I hate those frickin' things. Typically Sig will, I'll take that thing out if I can get it out because those are garbage. Typically Sig, I've seen put a little spring and detent in the bottom that presses up on the bottom of this rear lug. But this time, for cost saving measures, I would assume, they put an Accu wedge in there, which I hate those things. I hated them when they came out, and I hate them now. Piece of garbage. Hey, look at that. So this is just a cheapening cost savings tool. So notice this Accu wedge is a little bit different. It has a little plug on the bottom of it. That's because Sig went ahead and left out, there's a threaded hole inside there, they left out their normal tensioning device, which is a spring and a plunger. And that is what pushes up on the bottom here. So they took the metal parts out and put a couple cent Accu wedge in there. I bet you my rifle works a heck of a lot better now. Let me take my gloves off, see if I can do this with my bare hands. Oh yeah, much better. Normal pin there. That doesn't require any tools now. And it still doesn't wobble. That thing is garbage. Thanks, Sig. You could have saved even more money and just left the darn thing out. Fits just fine. So let's go ahead and take a look inside since we have it open. So you have, don't need to take the upper and lower part. You can see the fire control in there. We'll measure the trigger weight, but it's a fairly heavy trigger. It's a one-stage heavy trigger. Firing it fast takes a little practice, but I like a heavier trigger in a fighting rifle. Here we have our direct gas impingement carrier. Looks just like a standard AR-15 M16. Nothing special. This should drop right into pretty much any AR-15. However, it is not a full auto carrier. So it has the Colt cut to it. And a standard charging handle, advertised as ambi. As long as you got 2 fingers on each hand, it's absolutely 100% ambi. So there you guys go. It's pretty much a standard DI rifle, the stainless steel barrel, and a free-floated handguard. All right, guys, it's time to wrap things up. And so what do I think about the Sig M400 Tread as their sub $1,000 entry into the AR-15 market? Well, I think it's an okay rifle. If you guys are a Sig fan and you want a Sig AR-15, you want an M400, this would be an okay place to start. You may want to swap out this handguard, which is then going to take it over $1,000 most likely. But yeah, if they would just change that, I would be more happy with it. I don't care for the stainless steel barrel. I would rather have something that's cold hammer forged and chrome lined, but then again, that's a personal preference, right? So that isn't a dig on the rifle. It's just I prefer something different, therefore I wouldn't purchase this rifle. The ambi controls, you know, it has an ambi magazine release, does not have an ambi bolt release, but I can't really complain. It's a sub $1,000 rifle. We put over 1,030 rounds through this gun this afternoon. That's a lot of ammunition to fire through a gun. Well, I lied. We still have 30 rounds more to put through it. We'll do that as we close out the segment. All right, guys, so if you want to check it out, again, Big Daddy Guns Unlimited sent us this gun for the video. Check them out. And I would say I put a link to them, but I can't because they sell firearms and things like that that YouTube doesn't want you to have. They don't want you exercising your Second Amendment rights. So you'll have to Google it, but just check out Big Daddy Guns Unlimited. And if you want to pick up a rifle like this, be a great place to do it. All right, here we go. Last of the 30 rounds, I will say my OK magazines are okay so far, but that's not surprising. Last 30 rounds, huh? Let's shoot at our target over here. All right, one thing we did notice, and I was just reminded of, is that the ejection's a little bit erratic. We did see some brass going forwards and back. You really shouldn't see that too often, especially in a well-tuned AR-15, but the gun's working 100%. I just get a little bit concerned when I see that erratic ejection. All right, one last thing for giggles. This gun has been shot a lot. We've only been out here maybe an hour or so, a little over an hour. Let's take a no-go 5.56 gauge. Stick it in the chamber, just see if this thing's still in headspace. Now, keep in mind, this thing is smoking hot still. And no-go, gauge passed. So the gun does pass headspace, hot or cold, which is a good thing. Go ahead and pull it out. You can see the extractor pulling the gauge out, so it's under the rim. The extractor's over the rim. And yeah, there you go. So everything seems to be A-okay. That's a pun on the magazines, guys. With the M400 Tread. This one's working like a champ. Thanks for watching. Thanks for 10 years of support. If you would like to support us directly, you can do that by becoming a Patreon supporter. We will put a link to that down below. Well, YouTube still allows us to do that. Swing by. We are 100% viewer supported. We take no money from the industry. Also, if you'd like to support us, pick up a Forge from Freedom t-shirt. It's our t-shirt store. We have t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out. Link down below. Last but not least, swing by and check us out at Copper Custom, which is our online store, and we are Twitch gamers. So there is a Twitch link down below. Swing by and check out our Twitch channel. Hope to see you over there. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for 11 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.